Alright, so we have the Hayabusa running. We ran it through a few gears. So fuel pump is replaced. That was one of the big things. Most of the rust is out of the inside of that tank. So most of the gunk is out of it. It is running. We did a compression test on the coolant system. It was holding pressure. So we'll monitor that, just kind of keep an eye out on the temperature. Next thing I notice is the chain. Let's see, that is way too much slack on the chain. Should only be, I think, 1.3 inches or 1.5 inches of deflection. So good thing is, looking at the back, we do have a couple notches of adjustment. So we're gonna adjust the chain, pull that rear wheel back, clean the chain really good, kind of put some lube on it, so at least that is done. And then kind of give this thing a wash / wipe down to kind of get all the crud off of it. Want to be able to get a good look at the bike, you know, check for leaks and all that good stuff. Kind of hard to do when it hasn't been cleaned in a while. A lot of stuff you won't even see when the fairings are back on, but while we have it off, why don't we give it a nice kind of spray down, clean up some of the crud. And then most of the mechanical stuff should be good to go. Brake pads and everything look reasonable. She sounds good when she runs. So, all right, let's get some tools, move this rear wheel back, and adjust this chain. Yeah, a lot of working on, you know, bikes and motorcycles and stuff is just having the right tool. So this is a really big fastener here. This is a 36 millimeter nut that needs to be broken loose. So I'm going to use my breaker bar, loosen that up so that the back wheel is moving freely a bit, and then you know, I'll make the adjustments, the lock nut here, and then push the wheel back. Also count the number of notches on both sides to kind of make sure I have that going. Another thing that was kind of recommended was to mark one of the faces on the adjustment nut so you can see how many revolutions you're doing. So we'll do that as well. But first things first, let's loosen this rear wheel. And that was not difficult at all. I can see the swing arm coming out. I just wanted to make sure that it's loose enough. That's what I wanted, to have that lock washer loose. Alright, so we have a fully floating rear wheel. So now we can do our adjustment. So when I said I wanted to count the tick marks, so we are at that one. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 left before it's kind of toward the edge of the swing arm. So let's make sure that we have 4 free tick marks. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the other side as well. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 right to the edge. And we do not want to be at the edge, so I'll come out 1 tick mark at least, and then check the chain tension. If it's close, I'll do a measurement. If not, I'll come out to the 2nd tick mark. If we're going past that 2nd tick mark, may have to think about getting another chain at some point, but let's go ahead and make the adjustment. So we'll break this loose on both sides, this little lock nut here, and this is the adjustment. So let's get a couple wrenches. All right, so these are 12 and 10 millimeter bolts here. So the first is loosening up that lock washer. That's the 12. And I'll do the other side as well. Looks like this one will start to get rounded off, which I do not like. Alright, so what I want to do is mark the front face of this adjustment nut. So that's the flat end that's pointed outward, so I'll know how many twists and revolutions I make, because I may not need to come to full tick marks that are indicated on the swing arm, so at least I'll know how many revolutions I'm making once I start the adjustments. So I have that marked. Let's go ahead and mark the other side. And this one is already, you can kind of tell, not fully flat or parallel, but that's that flat face there. So while we're over here, why don't we go ahead and adjust this one. Let's see, we want to go a full revolution. Alright, so that's one full revolution, and you can see that's not even a full tick mark. So I'm going to do a full revolution on the other side, and then check the chain slack. So jumping back over here, let's go a full 360. Alright, let's see. And already I can see that is much better. I'm still going to do a measurement though. So let me do another rotation here. There was a lot of slack in this chain. Yeah, that feels much better. Alright, so let's count our tick marks. 1, 2, 3. We're almost at the we almost moved a full tick mark. So we are just shy of that first tick mark on this side. Let's check the other side. Just shy. 1, 2. But that's much better engagement on the chain, and we can see that it is not really resting on that chain guide anymore, and we still got some good deflection. So let's actually measure to make sure before we tighten everything back up. Alright, so I was able to actually find my little slack setter tool. So just trying to measure the deflection. It's about 10 millimeters at the top. It's hard to see at the bottom, so I'll just use the regular ruler. See how much deflection I'm getting. Find a link. So the top, the middle is like at 4. It's like a 1/2 inch at the top. And a 1/2 inch at the bottom, so we got about 1 inch of deflection. So we want to come in ever so slightly. We actually brought the back wheel out a little bit too far, so I'm gonna go in maybe like not a full turn, but half a turn. So this is where that mark on the face of the adjustment bolt will come in handy. So I don't want to go a full revolution. I want to go like a 1/2 a revolution. See if that gets me where I need to be. So I went in about a 1/2 just to get that face that was here on the other side. We'll do the same here. Should be right about there. I need to get a little hammer so I can knock the tire in and make sure it's in some, because we pulled it out. Now we gotta push it in a bit. So let's do that real quick. Just want to make sure that that's in. I want to start putting that lock washer in place so we don't get any more movement. Just gonna hand tighten it. Hand tighten it on both sides. Make sure we're kind of locked in place. Look at my tick marks. Just ever so slightly in of that. So you get a lot of adjustment actually with even a little bit of movement. All right, so let's check that slack now. I'm not going to use the fancy tool because it doesn't clear my exhaust like I would like. And 1/2 inch at the bottom, so we're right at 1.5 inches. So that is good. Do you want to make sure that the wheel is still straight? Let's tighten up our lock washers here. But yeah, adjustment looks pretty good. Got all that slack out of it. So let's go ahead and torque this bolt back on. It's supposed to be like 75 foot-pounds. Alright, you can see I have all the different cleaning stuff out. You know, this cluster here is a lot of my Muc-Off products. So that's one of the first things I want to do is make sure that chain is clean, and then I'll put some chain lube on it. I have a bunch of products. I'm gonna try to get this thing cleaned up. I do have affiliate links for Muc-Off, so check those out in the description. Great stuff. A lot of it is, most of what I have is kind of biodegradable, so it's not, you know, super harsh chemicals that are gonna eat away at you know, your components on your bike, you know, the rubber hoses, the O-rings, the electrical components. So it's a really good set of products. I do have some stuff that I need to, you know, use that's a bit harsher. I'm going to put some engine degreaser kind of around the bottom of that exhaust, you know, right where the oil filter is. Just want to get some of that cleaned off. I know it's a lot of oil that's been spilled onto that, you know, those header pipes over the years. So just want to give it a nice spray, but then mostly get all this dust and grime off of the bike. It's also make it easier to see if there are any issues when it's time to get things put back together. So all right, let's get to it. So this bad boy is pretty clean. I did wash down, even, you know, pulled out the brushes, a little bit of cleaner for the plastic pieces, some of the engine pieces. So it's pretty clean. I do need to warm it up, start it up, make sure that everything's dry. I want to take it for a quick spin to get all the moisture out of the chain. I clean the chain. I want to make sure it's dry. Then when I bring it back, I'll lube the chain. But yeah, it's looking pretty good. Let's take a look. So if you see, you know, it's pretty clean for the most part, especially for sitting so long. You know, the chain is nice and clean, wheels mostly. Still a little bit of gunk on the underside of that engine. I might wipe some of that down a little bit more too. Yeah, it's a little bit of gunk under there, but for the most part, this joint is coming together. Got a whole bunch of plastic clips, some fresh clips, so when it's time to start putting the bodywork back on, we can do that. The fairings are over here. They're just generally wiped down. Gonna try to go through them, go over them one more time, but yeah, coming together. Let's try to get a cold start again. Alright, just came back from taking a ride, making sure everything is dry. So I'm going to use my Muc-Off chain lube, make sure that the chain is lubed real good. So alright, so we got a nice coating on this. It may not show on the camera, but it has a nice purplish tint to the spray. So I can see that the chain is nice and coated. I'll let this sit and work its way in. So now when I park the bike, the chain is perfectly clean and lubed up. I have a UV light, so I'll double check and make sure I didn't get any of this on the rear brake. But yeah, we are good to go. It's almost time to put the fairings and stuff back on this. I definitely want to put the rear light back on, the mirrors back on, and then take it maybe for a little longer ride before I put the side fairings on. I think I can do that. I think I can put the rear seat fairings, the seat cover, so I can have my rear lights hooked up. And I also want to put the other intake plenum back on, get the front fairing kind of hooked back up, make sure the lights are working, and put the mirrors back on. Then take it for a little longer ride, kind of shake it down. Maybe on that longer ride, fill it up with some actual gas, put some Techron in it. Then this thing will be back in business. So one other thing I'm going to add is this motorcycle protectant. This is like my secret weapon when I'm cleaning my bike. You know, it's another great Muc-Off product. So what it does is disperse any moisture, but also kind of protects both metal and plastic, rubber components. You don't have to put a lot on it, and you want to keep it off of your tires, and you also want to keep it off of like brake components, but like all up in here. You know, I can spray this liberally, wipe off the excess. The same like here. I'll try to keep it off the exhaust. It'll burn off, but you know, you want to kind of minimize how much stuff you're having to burn off the exhaust. So then wipe off any excess. Yeah, it looks good. We are looking good.